I am going to be painting a test project, so I thought I'd bring you guys along with me. This is a 2-foot by 2-foot square piece of plywood. I've got my first layer of white on. I'm going to go ahead and put another layer, but I'm wanting to paint a barn quilt and test it, so I didn't want to get the big sheet. I do want to make this one though and go ahead and put it out for the winter and let it go, well, actually let it go through fall, winter, and then a year from now take a look at it and see how it made it before I do a big one. So I'm just going to take you along with me and show you how we're going to do it. I could tell that one layer of the white was not enough, so I'm going to go ahead and put this other layer on. Once I get this layer on here and get good coverage, I'll bring you back and we're going to use a ruler and draw our pattern on and start painting the pattern. So I'll be back in just a bit. Okay, so I worked out a pattern and I'm going to need to mark this off in 3-inch increments. So I've done the top, the bottom, and one side, just lining the ruler up and just putting a little mark on there for 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, oops, hold that down, 18, and then 21. Now that I have marks at the top and bottom and on each side, I can line up those marks. And we're just going to draw a grid all the way across it. Now I won't make you watch me draw the entire grid, so I will meet you back here once the grid is done and we'll go over the pattern. Okay guys, so I have a grid. We have 8 across and 8 down, making our square. I had sketched out a few different patterns. I think we're going to do this one, different colors of course, but this just shows you can use literally any quilt pattern. When you're looking at it, you're going to be looking at it from the standpoint of a grid. You can use, I just printed off some Excel blanks so that I had a grid, but you can use graph paper. You can use just a pencil, sketch it out on a piece of paper. But you want to look at it in a grid because it's much easier to paint and to stay focused whenever you have it gridded. So as you can see here, the first 4 over here, they're not going to have anything there. I'm going to paint that a solid color. It's when we get over to here that we're going to start marking this pattern off. I'm going to switch to a smaller ruler. Okay, I found a couple. I found my square, but I also found this little ruler. I think this one will do just fine. So we're going to get that out of the way. I'm going to lay this one aside. Grab my pencil. Alright, and again, we know that these 4 are blank, so we're going to pull the pattern up just so you can see what we're doing. The top one right here is just going to have a slant from corner to corner. This second one is going to have the same thing. Oop, got a little off there. And then it's the opposite on the next 2. Now one thing you can do if you don't want to go to the trouble of marking You can also start taping instead, but I like to get the whole pattern on, and then we will tape. Because when you start taping, you're going to have overlaps sometimes, so I don't want to deal with that. I just want to get the pattern on the board right now. So you can see what we've done. The first two are blank. These two slant down, the next two slant up, and then you have two blanks again. I'm going to continue to do that all the way down, so I'll be right back. Okay, so we've got it all marked off on the grid. I hope the camera's picking that up for you. And now all we have to do is start taping off. And by the way, whenever you're looking at your pattern, you are looking at it just like you would if you were going to be cutting pieces to sew together in cloth. You're just going to grid it out instead, and we're going to be painting. So I'm going to go ahead, and I think I want to start with some green. I am going to put the green in the same places I have it marked on here. So there's going to be 2 sections on each quadrant. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to keep this near me as a reference. Do apologize again for my voice. My allergies are really going crazy. It's autumn, I can tell. Okay, so let's go ahead and take this off. My green is right here, these first 2. Okay, so we want to get right on that mark. Nope, little off. You really want to press down on that line so that the paint doesn't seep under. See, this is why I said you could have just taped off instead of marking a lot, but you're going to be crossing over, and so I just find it best to just mark your pattern first. And then you just want to start putting the paint in. You can stipple, is always good for the first coat, or paint off of the tape. You're really just trying not to paint toward the seam in case the paint seeps under, if there's not a good adherence. Okay, so I can see even from the first one that I started painting, it's still damp. I'm not going to put the second coat on until it's all dry. So I will stop the video here and we'll come back in maybe an hour. I want it nice and dry. Okay, so I've got a second coat of green on. So let's go ahead and remove some tape and see what it's looking like. Okay, you can see by the pattern that's the only green spots there were. There's a few places that definitely are going to have to be touched up, but that's fine. Now we're going to move on and start taping out. I think we're going to tape out everywhere that I have penciled in yellow. It's basically, depending on how you're looking at it, bow ties. Almost looks like hourglasses or bow ties. So we're going to tape those off. And now I don't want to push my luck too much, so we will do the rest of it tomorrow. Hey guys, getting ready to go to work, so I just wanted to pop in here and remove the tape. I think it turned out good. Putting that second layer almost completely concealed the pencil marks, so I'm not too worried about those. I was going to use a yellow on a square, so I may have to put a different color down beneath the yellow, because I'm afraid the yellow would not be thick enough. You can see it right here. So we'll work on that though together, and I'm going to run in here on lunch break and tape out some more, so I'll bring you back then. Okay, the next thing we're going to tape off is going to be these little bow ties. Okay guys, so you can see I've been taping and painting, and I'm not liking the way this green looks. It's called spring green, but something about it is just not setting well with me. So I tried putting a little of this yellow on it. It was called, whoops, Pale Daffodil. Doesn't cover the green very well. I did find another yellow that is just called bright yellow. I'm going to see what it looks like on there. I may have to just paint it white and to get a white base under the yellow. But I'm going to try this one. It does seem to be a little bit darker. See if we have any better coverage. And in the center here, just kind of tell you what I was thinking. At first this was all going to be one color, but it was such a large space that I just wasn't sure. So I taped off and put the brown right in the center. So if this yellow ends up looking good, I may go ahead and do the dark yellow around it. So you have pale yellow, dark yellow to brown. If I don't like the way the yellow looks, I may just tape back off and expand the brown a little bit more. But that's kind of what my mindset is right now. So, hey guys, I just took off the last piece of tape. There's still a few places that could use a touch-up. But since this is just a test project, not going to worry about it. I'm going to go ahead and put the sealer on tonight so that by the weekend I can get this out on the deck and let it go through an entire year, and just to make sure it's going to hold up okay. So some things that I've learned. I used lead pencil to draw the pattern out. On these lighter colors, I don't know if the camera is picking it up, but it did not cover the pencil. The dark colors, I don't notice it. I guess they are dark enough, you know, that it is covering. But I'm thinking I'm going to research it a little more and see if there's an alternative. If I don't come up with anything, then I'm going to just tape off the next one. So whatever I decide to do, I'll make sure to bring you guys along with me. Because honestly, I think as long as I had it on paper, let me grab this. As long as I had it on paper as a reference on my shapes, I have no reason to think I could not simply have put the tape down, you know, taped out the pattern that I was going to need. Or even cut out the pattern and put it down and use that to reference it as far as centering it and everything, and then taping based off of the pattern. But anyway, I'm going to look around though. I'm going to look for some other options. I know in sewing there are some disappearing inks. I may try something like that as well. But before I make any recommendations, you know, I want to see what I can find out. One other thing, I've used Apple Barrel brand paint for years and loved it. But I can honestly say that it was a fail on this. I don't like the way it came out at all, on the brighter colors especially. It's very translucent. Coverage was not good. It took coat after coat after coat to try to get rid of it being so translucent. I mean, it's ridiculous. The yellow really shows it. The green, I lost count of how many coats of green I put on. And in spots it looks really good, and in spots it almost looks like a cloudy effect, a tie-dyed effect almost. because it is so pale in spots, just splotchy spots. So won't be using apple barrel again for sure. So that's something else I'll research so that when I do the next one, I can let you know what I'm using. But this one is done other than getting the sealer on tonight. So whatever I do on the next one, I'll bring you along with me, and hopefully we'll have better luck. Have a great night.